I am live. Just give me guys a second so I can mute. Yeah, okay, it's good. Okay, almost. All right, so I think I got my screen situated, so that should not be a problem. I hope my mic is working. Now I'm gonna pull the chat on my phone real quick. Of course. All right, so hi Gina, how are you? It's been a while. Nice seeing you. So, hi everybody. Welcome to the Raven Wolf channel. This is Anna. And today I actually, oh, thank you, Gina. I've been trying to record, actually, I record some of this presentation that I'm about to show you guys, but I don't know, it just didn't feel right. I felt like it will be better if I just um, do a live stream instead of recording it, editing it, and then uploading it. So I'm doing this live. Okay, so let's see. Where should I start? Um, I honestly didn't know anything much about Carl Jung or Sigmund Freud. Um, really, I mean, I heard about them, but I didn't know who they were or exactly what they achieved or how they impacted the medical field or anything like that. So I don't even know. I just come across things sometimes that, I don't even know. I was doing some search online and then I came across Sigmund Freud and then I started reading and then I thought, what about doing a Mayan life path reading on Sigmund Freud? And then I find out about Carl Jung and I did their charts and their astrology, their Mayan astrology life path. And I was surprised because there's a lot of similar stuff with them too. So I'm gonna start by just introducing for people like me that did not know who Sigmund Freud is or Carl Jung. I'm gonna talk a little bit about what they achieved, who they were, and also a little bit of their early life. And the reason why I'm actually gonna start this video like this is because when I get into the Mayan astrology life path reading, we can have something to look back and be like, oh yeah, that matches because it goes with this, or, it's, yeah. I hope I'm explaining myself. Hi, Pure Love and Sunshine. Yes, so I obviously, like I mentioned, did not know that Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud were actually friends at some point. But they both defined the world of psychology, and their theories, although they're a little different, they impacted the human mind and the development of successful psychological treatments for the wide spectrum of human distress. Hi, Earth Angel. Welcome, everybody in the chat. So, in April 1906, Freud began corresponding with Carl Jung. Then later they met in Vienna in 1907, who two men became really fast friends. And it said that their first meeting, they talked for over 13 hours. So I think that's amazing because, I met people before where, I talked to people for hours, but nothing like 13 hours. And can you just imagine the kind of conversations that the two of them had, like picking each other's brain and trying to figure out, I don't know, I thought it was, that was kind of cool. But so yeah, they became really good friends. Freud considered Jung his peer calling him his eldest son and deeming him the heir to his psychoanalytic process. And Jung thought of Freud as extremely intelligent, shrewd, and altogether remarkable. So there was a lot of admiration between them too. And like I said, they were very good friends. But sadly, over time, the relationship began to crack. Um, though Freud had viewed Jung as almost as the most innovative of his followers, he was unhappy with Jung's dismissal of some of Freud's basic psychoanalytic tenets. So I'm actually thinking about doing and maybe 2 more videos focusing more about uh, what was the things that Freud and Jung differ from each other. I think I'm gonna do that next. My next video probably that's what's gonna be, because it's very interesting and I love psychology and all of that. Like, I think if I can go back in time, I would have gone back and study psychology instead of early childhood education. Um, but yeah, um, I forgot where I was. Where I was. What was I saying last? Um, Sorry, I got a little bit distracted. But anyways, yeah, they were friends, and they disagree, or Jung disagree on a certain concept um, that Sigmund Freud believed. So now I'm actually gonna start talking about Freud. So Sigmund Freud was an Australian neurologist born on May 6, 1856. Freud planned to actually study law at the University of Vienna, but then he later changed his mind and opted for medicine. So upon graduating, Freud began his work in a psychiatric clinic in the Vienna General Hospital. Freud began to harbor an interest in hysteria, and particularly in hypnosis methods of the leading neurologist Jean-Martin Charcot. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that last name wrong, but okay. Later, Freud began his own self-analysis, meticulously analyzing his dreams in the light of the unconscious process, culminating his next major work, which it was the interpretation of dreams. That was in 1901. Freud had by now also developed his therapeutic technique of free association and was no longer practicing hypnosis. From this, he went to explore the influence of the unconscious thought process on various aspects of human behavior, and felt that amongst these forces, the most powerful were the sexual desires in childhood, which were repressed from the conscious mind. Um, in 1910, Freud, along a group of his pupils and followers, founded the International Psychoanalytic Association with Carl Jung as the president. In 1923, Freud published The Ego and the Id, revisiting the structural makeup of the mind. By 1938, and the arrival of the Nazis in Austria, Freud left from London with his wife and children. However, throughout this time, he was plagued with by cancer of the jaw. So after 30 surgeries, he died in London on September 23rd, 1939. Now I'm gonna keep talking about Freud, but I'm gonna talk about his early life now. And again, the reason why I'm going over this before I actually start talking about the Mayan astrology chart is so you guys can have a little bit of background information where you can understand maybe their chart better. Okay, so Freud's early life. He was actually a child of a Jewish family. Freud became firmly atheistic later in life, but although he never felt to distance himself from the religious side of the Judaism, and he always remained true to his secular Jewish culture. He loved literature, and he was proficient in German, French, Italian, Spanish, English, Hebrew, Latin, and Greek. um, so Freud entered university at age 17, and his studies included philosophy under Franz Bertano, philosophy under Ernst Brücke, and astrology under Darwinist Professor Karl Kloss. Here's an interesting fact. In 1896, Mina Bernay, Martha's Freud's sister, became a permanent resident of the Freud's household. And after the death of her fiance, she became a permanent member of their household after the death of her fiance. The close relationship she formed with Freud led to rumors, started by none other than Carl Jung, of an affair. The discovery of the Swiss hotel log of 13 August of 1898, signed by Freud's whilst traveling with his sister-in-law, has been presented as evidence of the affair. So, like I said, it's very interesting because once upon a time, Freud and Jung were very close friends and colleagues, and they worked together, and then it's just sad that, that happened. But anyways, Freud began smoking tobacco at age 24, initially a cigarette smoker, then he became a cigar smoker. He believed that smoking enhanced his capacity to work and that he could exercise self-control in moderating it. So that was a little bit of the early life of Sigmund Freud. So now I'm going to be talking about Carl Jung. Let's see. Okay, so Carl Gustav Jung was a Swiss psychiatrist and the founder of the analytical psychology. Jung's work was influential in the fields of psychiatry, anthropology, archaeology, literature, philosophy, and religious studies. Jung had an exhaustible knowledge in mythology, religion, philosophy, and was particularly notable in the symbolism connected to the traditions such as alchemy, Kabbalah, Buddhism, and Hinduism. Utilizing this vast knowledge, Jung believed that the human experience the unconscious through numerous symbols encountered in various aspects of life, such as dreams, art, and religion. While Jung theory had numerous critics, Carl Jung's work has left a notable impact in the field of psychology. His concepts of introversion and extroversion have contributed extensively to personality psychology and have also great influence in psychotherapy. In 1912, Jung published Psychology of the Unconscious, outlining the clear theoretical divergence between himself and Freud, as well as forming the basic tenets of analytical psychology. Jung believed that the human psyche exists in three parts: the ego, which is the conscious mind, the personal unconscious, and the collective unconscious, which included Jung's ideas concerning archetypes. And these archetypes are universally inherent prototypes which help us to perceive and act in a certain way. Jung argued that our distant ancestors' experience of universal concepts like God, water, earth were transmitted through generations. People in every time period had been influenced by the ancestors' experience. This means that the content of the collective unconscious are the same for each individual within a culture. These archetypes are symbolically expressed through dreams, fantasies, and hallucinations. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit of Jung's early life. So he was the only son of a Protestant clergyman. Jung was quiet and observant child who he preferred to be alone and his single child status. However, perhaps as a result of isolation, he spent hours observing the roles of adults around him, something that no doubt shaped his later career and work. Jung's childhood was further influenced by the complexities of his parents. His father, Paul, developed a failing belief in the power of religion as he grew older. Jung's mother, Emily, was haunted by mental illness, and when her boy was just 3, left the family to live temporarily in a psychiatric hospital. As was the case with the father and many other male relatives, it was expected that Jung would early enter the clergy. Instead, Jung, who began reading philosophy extensively in his teens, buckled tradition and attended to the University of Basel. Can't say it. There he was exposed to numerous fields of study, including biology, paleontology, religion, and archaeology, before finally settling in medicine. Jung married Emma in 1909, and the couple had 5 children, and they remained together until Emma's death in 1955. So that was just a little bit of background and some information so we can get to the Mayan astrology life path of these two. So I'm gonna see the chat. Yeah, actually, oh, there we go. Thanks everybody that is here. And I want to know, what do you guys have you heard about Freud and Carl Jung, and what do you guys think about them? Because excuse me, the things that I've been from my research about this too, I feel like I can not relate, but I can agree with more of how Carl Jung, the concept and the theories that he had, I kind of resonate with that more than with Freud. Yes, amazing pioneers. I agree. They definitely, and see, so when I started doing the Mayan astrology and I put it side to side, I was like, wow, because there's a lot of stuff that are similar to each other, and there's something on Carl's Jung chart that it makes sense why he was attracted to like the occult, like the mythology, like the like Hinduism and all of that stuff. It makes sense to me. But okay, just let me, I don't know, let me get my screens here situated, you guys. Here, I guess I can screen share. Let me see. Let me just get my screen here ready. Okay. Oh, no, wrong one. Okay. So I think you guys can see that. So that is Carl Jung. Okay, I need to get Freud's. Okay, trying to see. I'm trying to see if my screen is going to show both at the same time. And I don't think it is. Okay, then never mind. I will stop screen share and I'll just talk about it with you guys. Okay, yeah, sorry, it's not going to work the way I had it planned. But okay, so again, for those of you that do not know or is the first time listening to me talking about Mayan astrology, the Mayan astrology life path readings that I offer, they cover 5 different aspects, which is your day sign, and your day sign is one out of 20 different things. Like it can be an animal or a house, a flower, earthquake. It doesn't have to be necessarily an animal, but the day sign represents more like your sun side, like how you are, how people perceive you, and how you are in the outside. Then the second part is the Trasena. The Trasena is can be compared as your moon sign. Your moon sign, or the Trasena, is your how you are in the inside. um, yeah. Um, then the third aspect is the Venus placement, which has a lot to do with your relationships. And fourth aspect is 1 out of 9 Lords of the Night, which they represent the darkest side of you, or things that people don't know about you, or things that are hidden. And the fifth and last part is the meaning of your birth year. So give me, you guys, a second so I can turn on, because it got dark. I had natural light from my window, but it actually got dark. So now I have to turn on my light. Okay, so let's do this. So Sigmund Freud day sign is a reed. With reed as his day sign, it was likely that other people highly regard him for one accomplishment or another. Um, he was ahead of his competitors, and he made a mark in a field, which he did in psychiatry, right? Let's see. Um, he was very simply be competent at whatever he will set his mind or hands upon. He was probably very popular, and he, having earned a well-deserved fame and recognition from his peers. Again, this totally resonates with what I was talking about at the beginning about Freud. So, like Reed, he remained firm when pressed. There was a militant side of him, and although he'd not deliberately seek conflict, he most likely thrive on it. Um, whether he was being politely aggressive or crusading for a cause, um, life was something to be won through strength and conviction. I guess that's what he believed. I guess I can screen share this. Never mind. Hold on, guys. Yeah. Let's see. Um, he worked very hard. He knew the value of consistency and was capable of disciplining himself and accomplish a task, even through it might take some time. Frequently, he would take risk or pioneer in whatever it was for him to do. Teaching, politics, and social science seemed to appeal to him. He had a talent for diplomacy and had a deep instinct in reading characters of others. And again, that's very interesting because in his work, he had to have that, being able to read people's character. So because he understood other people and knew where others really stand on important matters, he was able to communicate well. Like a psychologist, he will learn to evaluate people and form expectations that are realistic. Let's see. Oh yeah, I thought this was interesting too. So reed was called acatl by the Aztecs, and it was a symbol by a tall reed plant that was used to make darts and arrows. Its ruler was a dark deity called Tezcatlipoca, which it was a powerful warrior magician who presented the force behind the sacred cycles of fate. he was also considered with visions of the future. So that's interesting because in his work, a lot of Freud's work, it's it's impacted in the future, no, meaning now. So like I said, it's just very interesting, and I hope that you guys know now why I took some time at the beginning of this live stream talking about these two characters, so you guys can see where I'm coming from with the Mayan astrology. So that was Freud's day sign. Now I'm gonna go over Carl Jung day sign. So Carl Jung was grass. His day sign is a grass, which is likely that he was a sensitive person. He might have been psychic or simply acutely aware of emotional and physical or psychic dynamics that go around him. And it's awareness that is the core of the politeness of a personal refinement. He liked people and wanted to help others, but he was easily hurt by criticism and rejection. If something upset him, however, he will seldom reveal this to others. On the surface, he was compromising and resilient underneath. He possessed a strong, almost driving ambition. His work was very hard. He worked very hard to achieve his goals. I mean, and he didn't overstress himself. However, it was his persistence that counted the most. While he was competitive, he avoided direct competition. Working alone, it was a good solution for him. And he was a person that strived to heal and transform negative personality traits. Again, I find this very, very interesting because of the kind of work that he did, right? He focused a lot of the mind and the unconscious and the subconscious and all of that. So again, I'm not surprised that this is in his chart. His struggle with urges and compulsions alone, but also gain control over them. Grass personalities are attracted to work in which the bad is changed into the good. A psychologist or a healer will be one example. So again, this is right on it. Many grass personalities are problem solvers, designers, or engineers. They can handle details very well and are appropriate. An appropriate amount of deliberation can be decisive and executive. They also have strong investigative streaks and are attracted to careers or activisms that search, dig, or uncover things. Again, this goes right along with what he did in his life, in his work. Okay, so this next part, here. So that was the day sign. So as you can tell from reading both of them separate, I feel like they really go along with their personalities. But with the next one is the most interesting to me because there's the second aspect on both of them. Astrology life path reading is the Trecena, and they're both the same. They're lizards. So their Trecena sign is a lizard, both of them. Which I'm not surprised because it explains a lot the magnetism and the way that they developed their friendship, and it was so intense, and then they broke off their friendship. But here, I'll read it. I won't screen share it, but so I'm not gonna read for both of them because it's pretty much the same. But so they were both their lizard as day sign. So beneath their personality, they have a lizard's need for attention and recognition. Performance conscious, and they were very concerned with their self-esteem. They were also lively, energetic person, to the point where others may have seen them as assertive and even fanatical about getting things done the way they wanted. And this Freud had a certain theory um, about something. I'm not gonna go into it. That Jung disagreed. So he stuck to his guns, and so it does resonate. Let's see. They also had a strong sex drive, and something that concerned them a great deal. I have a hair in my mouth. Um, and it had to do much with it had to do a lot with their self-esteem. There were also sorry, I lost my they were also likely to be leaders of some sort, which they both were. As long as his leadership position don't interfere with his freedom, their freedom, they will tend to enjoy it. They probably had a good deal of charisma, and they could be controversial or could gain a reputation of being different, which they were different because they pioneered this the field of psychiatry. Um, they could whether or not this was true, others most likely admire them for their high standards, confidence, and willingness to take a stand. So that was both of them, their day sign. I mean, their Trisena, which it was the lizard. Now, this next one is their Venus placement. And again, they had the same placement, which it was Venus as the morning star. Yeah, Venus as the morning star. They both have that, so that's another thing in common. So that means that they will act and first and then evaluate later. Ultimately, it was their feelings that moved them to actions. These feelings allowed them to make instant evaluations. And yeah, interested in the world, they will, and other people, they will go out and meet them. They will have some kind of warmth and feeling and willingness to join in and work with others that could make them very popular. So underneath it all, there were both individuals testing the limits of what they believed to be true. That's very accurate. And hold on. Sorry, I had to switch screens here. They were very creative, who responds to deep and very personal voice. So yeah, that was the same. Now, they're Lords of the Night. They are not the same, but I found that is funny because Freud's Lord of the Night is Lord number 6, and Jung is Lord number 5. So, even though it was not the same, there's it was one after the other. Here, sorry, I'm trying to get my okay. So, like I said, Freud's Lord of the Night was Lord number 6, Chelchi Huitlicue. And this is the Aztec goddess of the water, springs, lakes, and rivers, and birth itself. And having her as the ruling deity suggests that he was a very emotional person and difficult for others to understand. And I feel like maybe that's why Freud, when he started analyzing his own dreams, maybe it was because of that, because he felt maybe that other people could not understand him. So he had to go within and looking into his dreams. Um, so his deepest instinct is to push forward, self-sufficient kind of lifestyle or career. He may have been self-employed. Um, he had a strong desire to build something, a business or an empire, and was very hard worker. Well, he did build, in other words, an empire, right? With the different techniques and different studies that he created with the psychology and the mind. Um, this drive most likely originated when he was young, and that could be that his parents were somewhat critical of him, leading him to believe that life is principally about standards and behavior and accomplishment. So that was Freud's Lord of the Night. Now, Jung, Lord of the Night, is number 5, Mitlactecutli. And this was the Aztec god rule of the underworld along with his wife. And being ruled by this underworld deity suggests that he was a person who sucked a depth on emotion in relationships. Driven towards powerful relationship experience, he often struggled with feelings that are released. He will have a little bit of issues with relationships. He was a very sensitive person, even touchy. And those who had a relationship with him probably agreed. Now, one thing that I left out, and I didn't mention it, is that actually Carl Jung wrote a letter, a breakup letter, if you want to call it, to Freud, breaking their friendship. So, at his worst, he could have been a blamer, not seeing the cause of his problems and that it was really him. And when, hopefully he got over that tendency, he would have learned to take responsibility for all that happened to him. So yeah. Now, another interesting thing is that, so that was the Lord of the Night for both of them. Freud was number 6 and Carl Jung was number 5. Now, they have the same birth year. Not birth year, but how do I explain it? Direction, compass. Okay, so the Mayan and Aztec astrologers also recognize that each year produces a unique group of people. Each individual in a 52-year cycle is linked to a number and a compass direction that has an astrological meaning. So Carl Jung and Freud, compass direction of their birth year is the south. Their number is different. Freud is 13 south and Jung is 7 south. So again, that's another interesting fact there. So this means that the south is, well, according to Mexico, the south is where the uncontrolled growth of the jungle overruns even the mountains. So this symbolizes the power and energies of feeling and emotions. Being born during a year of the south, they were probably strongly motivated by their feelings and emotions. They were very strongly driven by what they feel they need to do and not just what they think they need to do. These urgings within themselves have a great deal of power and may cause them to do things that others deem irrational, or the others may see them as confused. But the gift that the South offered is to have a sensitivity of feelings, and the challenge was to develop their mind and understand the choices from different perspectives, which again, that's very interesting because they both have different perspectives about how the subconscious mind worked. Well, for Freud, the number 13 and the meaning of their birth, his birth year, the 13th south, preceding the direction of his birth, indicates that he seeked to grasp full implications of the southern energy. Um, he had insights into life, and in order to completely understand a problem, he would struggle with it over a long period of time. Now, with the 7 south, the seven preceding the direction of his birth year, indicated that Carl Jung develop and grow most rapidly as individual in his focus or his will. Acknowledge the impossibility of understanding everything and recognize that he can't have it all, but he did have a lot. Okay, so that was my presentation here. I know I talked a lot and I didn't have a lot of visuals for you, so you guys pretty much watch me read. But what do you guys think? I thought that was very interesting how their chart was very similar and a lot of their personality traits and show by their work. Thanks everybody for being here, by the way. I appreciate this. But yeah, after doing this little research of Freud and Jung, I find other stuff that I want to be sharing with you guys. So my next video probably is going to be about the different beliefs or theories between them two and what they made them different. And personally, I can resonate actually more with Jung than Freud. I really like how the Jung stand for the collective unconscious, and he talks about archetypes. And I don't know, I just resonate more with his theory of things, of the subconscious mind and unconscious. But what else? Oh, also I find out that Freud's one of Freud's daughter, her name was Anna Freud. She I actually want to make a video about her too, because she followed her father's steps and she focused on children psychology. So I'm probably going to make a video about her, and she has a very interesting book that I want to be talking about it. But okay, you guys, that's enough. I feel like I've been blah, 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 talking away. Thanks everybody for watching. I truly, truly, truly appreciate you guys being here. I love you all, and I will see you guys soon. All right. Bye, guys. In Lakesh.